And if this is any time as ever for Maryland to get that Jeffrey Alexander out there, see if they can climb some point backs, get them back in this match, maybe see if he can get a pin here.
Definitely a strong competitor for the Terrapins on this one. Alexander is a 3-time NCAA tournament qualifier, 2012, 2013, and 2015. So he has all kinds of experience at a high level. He's been around, and he's pushing all kinds of pressure on Shepherd. So they'll go back to neutral as there was nothing to do on that one.
And coming in at 5-1, Alexander looks like he's well on his way to another NCAA tournament berth, and a 4-time NCAA tournament appearance, 4 on NCAA tournament appearances. That's always something to cheer for if you're a Terrapins fan back at home.
Shepherd, on the other hand, has seen a lot of time unattached from the Indiana squad. Hasn't been a hasn't been the go-to guy at his weight class for the past couple years. And I think this year he's really come into his own and worked his way into that varsity spot. 11-10, as I mentioned earlier on. He's being competitive, but not quite to the level that we would expect from an Indiana program. I mean, you look at the Big Ten, there are wrestlers always in the top 25. And Alexander's a prime example of that. And he will push further in, trying to get that takedown, those early 2 points here, just in the second half of the first period.
Definitely, and like you mentioned, Alexander's a wrestler who fits right in with the promise of the Big Ten and the historical success of the Big Ten. Like you mentioned, with the 9 programs ranked in the top 25 right now.
It's a very competitive conference, and Maryland, of course, transferring over from the ACC in the previous seasons that it has been a wrestling program. This year is going to be really crucial in determining, are they going to be, quote, a Big Ten team? I mean, they're obviously very competitive. They have wrestlers in the top 25, but they're not, as a team, as high quality as a Penn State, as an Iowa, as most of the Big Ten teams in the conference.
Well, and we've seen it with a team like, for example, Rutgers, who's come into the conference and has boasted a pretty strong team all year, ranked highly in the top 25, and we'll see whether Maryland can do the same. Like you said, not necessarily the same history as some of these Big Ten programs like a Penn State or an Iowa, but with guys like Alexander and Lou Mascola, who we'll see later, who's also ranked in the top 25 for his weight class at number 19 for the 157s, it'll be interesting to see if they can build off some of that success and see if they can lure some of those wrestlers from that East Coast region where a lot of these other Big Ten programs may not have the same reach.
And if you're a Big Ten fan, of course, if you're watching this, you're probably a fan of the Big Ten, but Maryland has come into their own in the Big Ten, not only in wrestling, but in other sports as well. Obviously, in basketball, they have become a very big powerhouse in the Big Ten, currently a very good program, and they are working their way towards expanding to all of the sports, and I think that's something that Indiana and the other schools in the Big Ten are very welcoming of. They want to have a more cohesive competition across all of the sports offered.
And not even across all of the sports, but across the country now. I mean, you've got the Big Ten now stretching out to Maryland, out to Rutgers in New York, New Jersey area, and it's something, and it's going to be a great thing for the Big Ten stretching out, and with the other sports like, for example, lacrosse coming into the fold in recent years. And like you said, with Maryland basketball and their proud tradition that they have, and Player of the Year candidates like Melo Trimble coming in. So the Big Ten's getting a lot out of schools like Maryland and the others that have come in and joined the conference recently.
Lacrosse even coming in, as you mentioned. Johns Hopkins is actually a member of the Big Ten for the lacrosse program. An interesting program history there, a very strong program. But back to the wrestling match at hand. Currently, Alexander is leading 2-0. So just under a minute to go here in the second period. And the riding time is building up for Alexander, now sitting at 2 minutes and 21 seconds. definitely taking an early lead in the riding time category. Almost this entire period has been in Alexander's favor.
Definitely, and that's something that that Shepard's going to have to look out for going into this third period. See if he can score a point or two here to hopefully make that riding time obsolete for IU fans.
So Shepard now on the shoulder. Alexander going to be looking for some back points as he's pushing his way, and he will be awarded a 4-point near fall. So he is now up to a 6-point lead over Shepard. Definitely a strong performance from Alexander so far in this match. He's definitely going to wait this period out, I think, but then he'll move in the final period, potentially going for a reversal and then a pin or something like that, or just ride out all the way through and win by points. But there's still a lot of wrestling left, and Shepard cannot be counted out. So heading into the third period, Alexander will choose neutral, so it looks like he will take a little bit more of an offensive aspect to this match, looking to get a little bit more points heading into the final couple minutes of action.
Definitely, and see whether Alexander can get the pin here and cut that IU lead in half from 12 to 6, which would be a huge gain for the Terrapins.
Even a major decision for the Maryland Terrapins will help them, as another 2-point takedown is awarded, now up to 8-0 for Alexander, looking to hold his ranking and prove that he is deserving of a top 25 ranking. So Shepard trying to rebuild his base, but Alexander with the ankle pick, and they'll be out of bounds, so they'll move back into the center and reset.
And as we noted before, Alexander is ranked in the number 13 right now, but he did reach as high as number 7 in the nation last year. So a lot of talent with this guy, and is definitely showing that he does belong here, not only in the top 25, but in this Big Ten conference.
Definitely one to watch out for when it comes to NCAA tournament time. He's going to be a very strong competitor, as he has been for the last 4 years of competition. And even in his redshirt season, he saw all kinds of action. So he is one to watch out for heading into the finals of the NCAA tournament. I think he could make a legitimate run to be in the top 10 in the tournament, and I think that wouldn't be unexpected.
Definitely, and if you're a Maryland fan, that's something you definitely want to see, building on this the pro success that this program has had the last few years, and like we said before, going into the Big Ten, showing that they do belong in this historic Big Ten conference.
So Alexander with an armbar in. Shepard struggling to do anything at this point. Pretty much has him on lockdown. So they will reset in the middle once again. A little bit of a stalemate going on, so Alexander will take the top position in referees. 8-0 lead with just under 20 seconds to go here in this one. I think this is pretty much wrapped up for Alexander. So the deficit for the Maryland Terrapins will be brought down just a little bit, and that will be a major decision victory for Alexander. So a 12-4 lead now for Indiana.